that addition. In
Sure.
terms of the budget deficit and our budgetary situation, to me, this is the 5,000-pound gorilla at the federal level of government. So I'm glad we've waited till late in the game here, because I'd like people to remember this. We currently have $60 trillion in unfunded liabilities at the federal level of government. In other words, the politicians in Washington, Congress, has passed legislation in recent years that amounts to $60 trillion, and they don't know where the money is going to come from to pay for all these things. That's $500,000 for every family of four in America. Now, if I had a credit card bill in my mailbox, opened it up today, and it said $500,000 United States government, I think it would really kind of freak me out here. But that's really in reality where we're at now, because current debt equals future taxes. We're going to have to pay for it sometime. And what's immoral about this situation is that, unlike a mortgage or credit card debt, you can pass this debt on to future generations. So my two, soon-to-be four children are going to be picking up a big part of the tab of that $500,000 debt per family. So what do we need to do? Well, first, you start going line by line through the federal government's different responsibilities, and you start prioritizing. Now would be a really good time, because every family in America, every business in America is prioritizing during this down economy. Our government needs to do the same thing. Instead, it's growing right now. We need to get these earmarks under control. You know, under the last time Republicans were in control, we set records for the number of earmarks attached to appropriations bills. 2005, that year, was particularly bad. We actually exceeded the number of earmarks during the entire 1990s. And our Republican member of Congress here in the 9th District supported that level of spending. So get the earmarks under control. Congressman Jeff Flake of Arizona has 19 anti-pork amendments. Those definitely merit consideration, and I would be part of that movement to help improve that situation. Finally, we need to take a look at the social welfare programs. Now, for years now, politicians and political candidates have not mentioned the words Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. That's been a leadership deficit, the other deficit we have in Washington. They need to talk about these programs because they're not sustainable, and we need to make them sustainable. I am not proposing here as a candidate for office that we eliminate the programs or anything like that, but we have to figure out how we can make them sustainable so that people can continue to enjoy them. Those approaching retirement age, say around 55 or older, we need to honor those commitments we've already made. People have planned their lives around the existence of certain benefits, and we'll have to honor those commitments. But for me, 37, soon to be 38 here, I have plenty of time to adjust my expenses and prepare for retirement. And that's a leadership decision, and one I'm prepared to make when I go to Washington.
Very, very thorough. I think that's the last of those questions. The getting to a little bit of a different kind of question here. Great people have stepped up all over Indiana, for that matter, around the country. Like you, they are not career politicians. They are instead responding to an unmet need for decent, honorable, conservative people to take back our country and to restore it to constitutional government. That's been the basis of your discussion here, primarily. And it's the basis of the discussion of all the Tea Party groups, the freedom groups around the country.
Sure.
A question we have for all candidates, and it's a tough one to ask, and I would assume it's even tougher to answer. Since all candidates enter a race to win, and nobody should enter a race unless they think they're going to win, we would like to know if you would be able to tell your constituents that if you were to lose the upcoming Republican primary, however unlikely that might be, will you support the victor in that primary and promise that you will not oppose the candidate or run as a third-party candidate?
Sure. Right now, I can see no circumstances under which I would run as a third-party candidate. I don't say that to be coy. The only way I could conceive of doing that would be if our nominee had said some things on the campaign trail or demonstrated they were so irresponsible that they didn't represent the values of the Tea Party movement, and there was really no good option out there to represent what we conservatives think the direction our country ought to be heading. I'll say that typically and historically, third-party candidacies will take votes from the more responsible candidate and split the vote, and they tend to benefit the candidate that I don't favor. Mm-hmm. But that said, the Republican Party, I'm a self-identified Republican. I'd be running as an independent now if I didn't think that this party stood for something and needs to stand for something. So when it ceases to stand for something, I'll cease to be a Republican. It's my hope that through this campaign and through the efforts of the Tea Party movement and others, we can ensure that the Republican Party stands for fiscal responsibility and constitutionally limited government. And you know what? Not just giving lip service to all those things, but actually going to Washington and voting in a way that is consistent with those principles.
Very good. And you would make a good part of that, I think. So.
Oh, thank you.